Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mini Scroll, the daily internet culture podcast bringing you the biggest stories from social media, the creator economy, and the digital space every Monday through Thursday and sometimes Fridays. I'm your host, Lauren Meisner, the founder of the youth digital media brand, Centennial World. Welcome back to Mini Scroll, everyone. Welcome back to the studio. I don't know if you guys could tell, but the episode that I recorded from the hotel room on Tuesday, I was actually really sick, but I didn't realize that I was sick until like an hour after I recorded that. And I came down with a horrible fever, and then I was just sick. And I was watching the episode back when I was editing it, and I was like, why am I so like low energy? What is going on here? And then literally got a fever like an hour later. So, yes. If you're like, what is going on in this episode? That's why. But yes, I'm still a little bit sick, but I am definitely starting to feel a bit better. But our trip to Melbourne was really good. We got everything done that we wanted to. We got to record all the episodes outside. I think they were really good. I was a lot more chill in these episodes than the first couple. You know, the first couple I felt a little bit on edge. I wasn't sure like how much I should be projecting outside to be recording, you know, outside in the elements and stuff. So I think these next few episodes of the series will be really good. All right, let's get into the stories for today. So the first story that I have for you guys, I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen this because this all happened just in the past couple of days, but a Staples retail employee has been going viral for their workplace content. So an employee at Staples is going so viral right now for documenting her experience working at the retailer and giving them literally the best organic press ever. The creator's name is Oblivion, but she calls herself the Staples Baddie, and she's a print specialist at the store. For any listeners who are not based in North America, I don't know if they have Staples anywhere else. They don't have it here in Australia, at least. Staples is like an office supply store. It's like Office Works here in Australia. But it's not just an office supply store. According to Oblivion, it is so much more, and that is what a lot of her content is about. So part of what's made this content so viral is that she vlogs herself at work and she shows like different interesting things that you can do at Staples that the average person probably doesn't know. I feel like this segment literally sounds like an ad for Staples, but I promise it's not. And I promise her content is also not an ad for Staples. So it's interesting because, like I said, it's not an ad for Staples. Like, it's not corporate content. It's not on their account. They're not paying her to make this content as far as we know. It's genuine employee-generated content. She's in her uniform. She's at work. And she's just, like, being herself in her content. She's being so funny. She's having such a good time. And she is, like, low-key promoting Staples. And she talks about how much she loves her job.
So it's come to my attention that y'all don't really know the full scope of what Staples, like, does. Like, we can make ornaments. We can make mugs, shirts, backpacks, signs, posters, whatever you can need. A banner that's like 8 feet long, sure, why not? Let's do anything. This is my favorite Shaq that we got in the store. He's just gaming. He's having the time of his life. Anyways, you want a high quality projector by chance? Do you need like a high quality projector that like turns and like ooh. Y'all, let's make a mug. Tap in. Thing you gotta do, come in store or even online, because you can pick this stuff up same day if you order before noon or early in the next morning, or get it delivered. Hell, if you don't want to leave your house, got your picture, because we printed off on some sublimation paper, fancy words. Then once I trim this, I'm gonna tape it on the mug. As you can see, we've taped that on there. Then we put it in the medieval torture device that you really want to put your arm in, but you don't. And no matter how much I tell myself it's gonna be fine if I grab it real quick, gotta put on some hot gloves. Now that got it cool. That's just gonna sit there for a while. And now all we gotta do is peel to reveal.
So then she made a video a couple of days ago talking about what the experience has been like this past week since she went like totally viral. And here is what she said about how she started this content.
I started out just like posting just kind of joke videos, and then I was like thinking to myself like how little certain services get used, and like I was kind of sad I'd never have done them before, honestly, because like when you work there, you see all these options and shit, And it's like, I want to do that, but like when it comes to something that's like multitudes of money, you're not just gonna play around with it. Cause like what? No. So I just was like, come on, y'all, get some direct mail. We can print anything type shit. Just using fun words. And the first video I ever posted was I finna be in the print, referencing the whole Tara's World thing, because I haven't heard about it in a minute. I was like, okay, so like I feel like this would like revive around a little. And then I just kept posting and like being myself, because I don't know, it was easy. I would just turn on the camera, just set up the camera, turn it on, and just start talking about different things about Staples, random little things, whatever it may be, and having just fun with it, because I was like, I don't really hear about Staples services. I really wish I did more. And I'm assuming other people do too. I thought more people would, because like when I found out all we could do at Staples, I was so floored. I thought that was so cool. I'll be able to help people and be like, yeah, we absolutely can do that.
Okay, so her first video about Staples was posted on January 14th, and it was literally just her saying, if you need something printed, I've got you. And since then, she's made 34 more videos, and her Staples content has reached over 18.3 million views total. But I wouldn't even say it's like that reach that's been most impressive. She is genuinely changing the way that people are thinking about Staples, from both the perspective of what they offer, like I said, but also because of how corporate is seemingly receiving this and responding to her content, especially after the whole Bauer situation. This is a really good look for Staples because they are in her comment section gassing her up. Apparently, they followed her right away. Apparently, PR for corporate reached out to her with positive words. As far as we know, they haven't asked her to pull back or to share less or to act differently in her videos or anything like that, even though she is making this content like while she's on the job technically. So yeah, it's been a really positive response, it seems, from Staples corporate, at least so far. And people are like, wow, this is actually changing the way that I view Staples. So this is a take from brand strategist Julie Turkle.
What I find so fascinating about it is that this employee is solving a problem that Staples has had with their brand perception for decades, which is that people only go into Staples when they need things that are really boring, like paper and toner, and they don't know all the exciting things that Staples actually has in the store. So the Staples Baddie is highlighting all the fun things that you can have printed at Staples, like these mugs. Apparently, there are a whole bunch of things that Staples can do in print, and this employee is basically saying, I've never been able to do them because people don't come in the store and do all these fun things. Now, I should add that about 15, maybe 20 years ago, I was hired by Staples as a consultant to help them with this issue that they have with their brand perception. And at the time, we were looking at adding licenses to bigger categories like office furniture. They ended up not doing it because they are very, very careful about their brand image. But Staples does have a lot of great licenses in the notebook and planners department. The Staples Baddie has pointed out several of them and highlighting all the features inside some of the notebooks and planners that people may not see because they're not going into Staples. And like Romeo and the jingle for Dr. Pepper, this creator's content is really taking off. It'll be very interesting to see whether Staples embraces this.
And then I wanted to read some of the comments that I feel like are making the biggest impact. So one comment on a video from 5 days ago says, hey, so my 13-year-old niece and her 4 friends woke me up at 7 a.m. to ask me to take them to Staples to pick up the mugs they ordered at some point last night. Where'd they get a credit card? No idea. Is the store open yet? Certainly not. So congratulations on your spokeswomanship, and also why. Someone else wrote, I love seeing you low-key enjoy the process of the labor you perform. Next time before showing us, don't do free advertising for your job though. From what I've seen, if they care at all, they'll punish you down the line for it instead of thanking you. And then she responded, I've been in contact with PR, they love me. So needless to say, it sounds like she's basically single-handedly changing the way that young people think about Staples right now. She's bringing people in store and she's giving them this amazing PR. She needs to be the face of Staples. They need to do like a big digital campaign with her as the face, like as an ambassador. I'm sure they have something in the works for her, but people would lose their minds if they saw that she was actually getting paid by Staples, not just, to do her retail job, but in like an influencer capacity because of all this genuine, like organic ambassadorship that she's been doing. I love it. This is amazing employee generated content. And I know that workplace and employee generated content is a bit controversial, and I totally understand that because, we've talked about different case studies here and there, but like the TBH skincare situation where they had a bunch of employees in a video, like the Gen Z boss in a mini TikTok, which was like super harmless and fun. And then it landed on the Manosphere algorithm and Andrew Tate commented on it. And then that got pushed out even more. And it's like, that is putting, in theory, like your employees at risk. So I know it is a bit of like a controversial strategy, but this one, it seems to be completely organic and the brand is not trying to squash it or control it, because I feel like that happens a lot. Okay, so the next story that I have for you guys today is I'm gonna cover a couple things that happened around influencers and the halftime show, the Bad Bunny halftime show. I know I touched on the halftime show on Tuesday, but I hadn't absorbed it yet. It had literally just happened. And anyways, all this stuff has happened since then. So I'm going to talk about how Alix Earle has addressed the backlash around her participating in Bad Bunny's halftime show. And then I'm also going to very quickly talk about Jake Paul and how he claimed to get hacked on Twitter after criticizing Bad Bunny's halftime show. Okay, so as we know, Alix Earle, she was dancing during the performance in the casita in that section of the halftime show. She was dancing alongside big names like Cardi B, Pedro Pascal, Jessica Alba. Now, there has been a lot of backlash over this. So many feel like Alix was kind of like a weird inclusion because she's not connected to the music or the culture in any meaningful way. At least as far as we know. But more than that, people were also upset because Alix has been, I suppose you could say, intentionally ambiguous or even silent about where she stands on many issues that Bad Bunny was highlighting through his performance. Now, Alix is one of those creators who is constantly accused of being MAGA, and for good reason. Her family appears to be MAGA, and she also did do this TikTok live that people bring up a lot years ago where she said, I used to be like, oh yeah, go Trump, obviously indicating that she used to support him. However, as she's become a lot more famous, Alix has been quite quiet on where she stands on things politically and also where she stands on many social issues and human rights issues. And I totally understand that people change and grow, and I'm a totally different person than I was 10 years ago, so I totally understand that. I will say, though, I think most people, if they were like staunchly anti-MAGA and anti-against everything that's going on right now, and they were constantly being accused of being MAGA by their audience, they would probably let their audience know that that's not the case. Anyways, Alix did respond to a comment on her video about the Super Bowl. So somebody wrote, "You've never once used your platform and voice for the messages Bad Bunny sends. This is unbelievable and undeserved." And then Alix responded, "I have, pink heart. And being invited to do this was such an incredible experience and so special." The "I have" with the pink heart, does that not remind you guys of Donatella Versace with the heart? Like, I have. I don't know. That just reminds me of Donatella Versace heart. Like, there's just something about that. I have. Because it's like so serious. And this person is expressing distress around like very real, horrible things happening in the world right now and in their country. And she's just like, I have heart. Okay, so Alix, I assume what she's referring to is she did post about ICE in Minnesota recently. She reshared an infographic that was a carousel about how to help in Minnesota, so I assume that is what she's referencing here. I guess with Alix, I think we need to let go of the fact that like she is going to address any of this. Like, she may or may not be MAGA. She may or may not support ICE. Like, we don't really know where she stands on things. And I think that's probably partly by design, right? She doesn't want to isolate some of her fans, her followers, whatever. And I'm sure that's like a business decision. But I also think it's probably because mostly what she stands for is herself. She does foster dogs, and she did found that nonprofit in Miami that provides meals for people in need. So she aligns herself with those causes. But I think when it comes to opportunities to further her career, her wealth, her influence, she's going to take them every time, even if they don't align with her politically, socially, and all of that. And I understand why a lot of people can't accept that or can't forgive that. Now, David Grutman, who is a Miami restaurateur, he works with a lot of celebrities, including Bad Bunny. There were already like rumors that he was the reason why Alix got involved because I think he's producing their Netflix show. I believe that was the connection. Sorry, I didn't actually write that down. But he told Page Six that Alix was invited to the casita because, quote, Bad Bunny wanted to be inclusive of all, especially for the casita. He wanted to show a little bit of everything. And I think having her be the face of Gen Z and so much of America, I just think it's a great thing. Do you guys think Alix Earle is the face of America? Of so much of America? Okay, and then the Jake Paul thing, I really don't want to make this like a full story. He's basically trying to pull like the whole my Twitter was hacked thing. So he tweeted, purposefully turning off the halftime show. This was obviously during the Super Bowl. Let's rally together and show big corporations they can't just do whatever they want without consequences, which equals viewership for them. You are their benefit. Realize you have the power. Turn off this halftime. A fake American citizen performing who publicly hates America. I cannot support that. So obviously that's incredibly bigoted, and he was getting backlash for that. But more so, he was actually getting backlash because he lives in Puerto Rico. So he was getting so much heat, he then tweeted, the problem with my tweet is the word fake being misinterpreted. He's not a fake citizen, obviously, because he's Puerto Rican, and I love Puerto Rico and all Americans who support the country. More so, Bunny is fake because of his values and criticism of our great country. That also didn't go over well. So then he tweeted, to clarify, I wasn't calling anyone a fake citizen because they're from Puerto Rico. I live in Puerto Rico, and I love Puerto Rico. I have used my platform to support Puerto Rico time and time again and will always do so. But if you're publicly criticizing ICE who are doing their job and openly hating on America, I'm going to speak on it, period. That's the same reason I called out Hunter Hess. If you benefit from a country and the platform it gives you, but publicly disrespect it at the same time, that's what I mean by being a fake citizen. And I agree, love is more powerful than hate. Love America. That's such a weird way to look at this. Like, you can't control where you're born. So just because you're born in a country where you don't align with everything going on politically, socially, all of that, you shouldn't go after your dreams and become a world famous singer because you're benefiting from the American public, the American system, the American dollar, whatever. You can't control that. Only people who 100% agree with the government are allowed to like chase their dreams and make it and benefit. That is such a weird stance. Okay, but again, it didn't go over well. So then he tweeted, guys, I love Bad Bunny. I don't know what happened on my Twitter last night, question mark, what the fuck? And then he changed his X bio to Benito #1 fan. All right, the last story that I have for you guys today, this is a mini scroll story if there was ever a mini scroll story. A Justin Bieber fan account is alleging that Scooter Braun manipulated her to control Justin. So Lauren Portis, the owner of the iconic Justin Bieber update account, jbcrew.com, JBC for short, has come out about her alleged experiences dealing with Scooter Braun. For context, JBC was extremely influential and famous among Stan Twitter and chronically online believers through the 2010s. And to give you a bit of context on just how powerful JBC was, Lauren and members of the JBC social media team were invited to attend the iHeartRadio Awards multiple times, as well as other award shows like the Billboard Music Awards. Lauren was also repeatedly tapped for interviews by media outlets such as MTV, Brandwatch, Capital FM, BBC Radio 1, Refinery 29, and more. Lauren was also just 13 years old when she created this account and ended up building it to a whole social media team. According to social stats that she has shared on LinkedIn across different social media platforms, JBC had reached over 1 million followers total. Now, she's in her mid to late 20s, and Lauren has taken a step back from the account, but she does continue to post on social media about Justin Bieber. Recently, she took to X with this bombshell. So she shared an alleged screenshot of a message from Scooter Braun, who was obviously Justin's manager at the time. The message read, from Scooter, allegedly, put up an image of Justin on stage holding someone's hand and caption, Justin never lets us down. He is always there for us. Love you, Justin. To add more context, Lauren wrote, throwback to when Scooter was trying to get Justin to, she didn't write not, but I assume she meant to say not cancel his tour back in 2017, lol, as in like trying to get a fan account to make Justin feel guilty because he was about to cancel the final 14 shows of the Purpose Tour. And obviously, if this is true, this is incredibly exploitative of Scooter with Justin, which I guess it's probably no surprise from what we know about what Justin has to say about Scooter and what we know about Scooter Braun from Taylor Swift and just in general the industry. However, it's also very exploitative of Lauren. Like, she was a teenage girl who would have done anything to get close to her favorite artist, and his manager, his world famous manager, is messaging her and telling her to post things. It's so crazy. If this is true, this is crazy. And then she also took to her Instagram stories to share more alleged interactions between herself and Scooter. So she talked about how Scooter repeatedly said he would make JBC, quote, an official fan account, which did not end up happening. As she wrote, quote, once a businessman, always a businessman. Everything was false promises with him. Can't tell you how much he went on about, I'll make you the official fan page. She also alleged that Scooter was almost trying to control what they were posting on JBC. She shared a screenshot of her missed calls on her story, writing, quote, when he was calling me and telling me to post things to make Justin feel bad, he wanted us to post videos of little kids being excited to see Justin on tour so he wouldn't cancel the tour. Now, other members of JBC have gone on to corroborate Lauren's story and share their own experiences. For example, one user named Cindy wrote, quote, I was part of JBC when this happened and never thought this would see the light of day. The way he wanted us to post certain things to convince Justin to not cancel the tour since he followed us on IG was insane and still is to this day. Scooter has been trash. Another alleged member of JBC, Elena, she posted this on her Instagram, I think it is. Yeah, her Instagram stories. She wrote, for context, if you don't know, I've been involved with JBC since around 2014-ish. I honestly don't remember the exact year. I feel like some people are misconstruing Lauren's words, especially under the one Instagram post. Scooter most definitely tried to control things that we posted for years. Any little thing we posted that he didn't like, he would immediately message us to take it down, but that doesn't mean that we always listened. If there was a seemingly logical reason behind it, yes, we would delete the post. Otherwise, we ignored him. There was ultimately no reason to listen to him. This applies to Scooter trying to get us to guilt trip JB into continuing the Purpose tour. It was a whole discussion we had, and while we were almost all literal children at the time, we still knew it was wrong and didn't do it. Honestly, I'm really impressed by the idea of a bunch of 14, 15, 16-year-olds getting messages from Scooter Braun, like from somebody who is like literally the closest person to their favorite person in the world, Justin Bieber, and ignoring his requests. I love that. What a power move. So yeah, safe to say the Beliebers are very much believing Lauren and the JBC crew. I guess I had never really thought about it that much, but it makes perfect sense that managers and people who work alongside these stars are working with these fan accounts, or I wouldn't actually say working. In many cases, probably feeding them information and manipulating them. And I suppose we saw similar things. Why do I have to bring everything back to Dramageddon? My favorite topic. We saw similar accusations around Dramageddon where drama channels and even just like not even drama channels, but channels that covered like the influencer beauty space were getting allegedly fed information from some of the biggest players in all of these big feuds, right? And things that were happening on YouTube and all the drama and everything. And that was really shifting the narrative that we saw play out because of this alleged information that they were getting fed. And they were taking it because, of course, I want to be DMing with like Jeffree Star if I'm a huge fan of this space and I don't fully understand the harm that he's causing yet, So I think it probably happens more than we think. Anyways, guys, that's it for Mini Scroll today. Thank you so much for listening. I love you guys. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Please Spotify star rate us. We're trying to get to 1,000 Spotify star ratings. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow for a Friday Mini Scroll. Bye.
Centennial World Podcast Network operates on Gadigal land. We would like to acknowledge the Gadigal of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay our respects to elders both past and present.